We all love ancient Greece for its brilliant thinkers, astute scientists, charismatic politicians, and excellent playwrights. But beneath all those beautiful accolades were bizarre, creepy habits like tasting vomit to diagnose an illness or buying love with a rooster. Interestingly, the ancient Greeks somehow found these practices normal and endorsed them. Hello and welcome to our channel. On today's historical journey, I present to you Haunting Habits Everyday Creepiness in Ancient Greece. I begin with probably the most bizarre and saddest of all, the Crypta Massacres. The term Crypta referred to the training and initiation of young boys into the Spartan military. The initiates, often referred to as ephebes, usually went through grueling drills and psychologically tormenting tasks to mold them into fine soldiers. They were usually beaten, slept without shelter, and starved for days, learning to feed on whatever they hunted with their bare hands. The idea was to test the survival skills, resourcefulness, and endurance of these boys. But the saddest? No. The most bizarre part of their training was yet to come. As part of their drilling, the ephebes were required to stalk, ambush, and eliminate helots, or slaves. Sad, isn't it? The young initiates stealthily hunted the slaves and massacred them for their wanton pleasure. Some historians believe that this heinous act was a way to control the slave population. Others suggest that it was a way of making the initiates combat ready. What I think, and you'll agree with me, is that this was unacceptable. Everyone, regardless of his class in ancient Greece, deserved a right to life. So let's step away from the horrors of ancient Sparta, shall we? And look at some humors. And no, I'm not about to crack some ancient Greek jokes that would send you rolling on the floor. Instead, I'm referring to the four fluids that the ancient Greeks believed made up the human body system. How weird. I mean to think they actually believed yellow bile flowed through their system? Anyway, that would be me judging them through the lens of modern medicine, which is a bit unfair. But yellow bile? According to ancient Greek wisdom, the body was made up of four fluids, which they called the humors. These fluids were blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile, and were essential in maintaining good health. An imbalance in these fluids was believed to result in various illnesses. So, to maintain balance and restore well-being, many ancient Greeks resorted to a creepier habit, bloodletting. Yes, you heard right, bloodletting. And do you know who endorsed this therapeutic practice? No, not Aristotle, not Socrates, nor Plato. It was the father of modern Western medicine, Hippocrates, the man after whom the modern Hippocratic Oath is named. Hippocrates may have inspired many scientific findings and medicinal discoveries, but the idea that he endorsed bloodletting, to my mind, is beyond comprehension. However, what totally creeps me out is the ancient Greeks' fascination with crocodile poo, of all things. The Greeks of antiquity loved to keep well-toned skin and to look forever young, so they practiced all manner of beauty tricks, which included rubbing crocodile poo. Usually, they'd mix the croc's poo with some mud and rub it on their body to cleanse and improve its tone. Interestingly, this bizarre beauty trick is still in vogue today. And not in any obscure part of the world either, but actually in the United States. It's reported that Tom Cruise, you know, the guy who made every impossible mission possible, uses nightingale poo for his facials. There has to be a joke in there somewhere. You don't believe me? Alright then, check out this headline. Or this one. Or even this one that claims that the actor and producer paid $180 just to get nightingale poo rubbed on his face. Maybe that's the reason for the 61-year-old's teenage looks. Okay, that's stretching it a bit, but you do get the picture. The Greeks' bizarre beauty routine may have survived and inspired modern cosmetology, but one practice that thankfully died with the ancient Greek civilization is the tasting of bodily fluids. Oh, you thought bloodletting was the only creepy medicinal procedure that the Greeks practiced. No, they actually tasted bodily fluids too. Now, drawing bodily fluids for the purpose of diagnosing an illness is standard practice in modern pathology labs across the globe. However, while modern labs are brick and mortar, equipped with sophisticated instruments, the Greeks had their pathology labs in their mouths. Did I hear you say ew? Well, thanks to modern science, you can afford to cringe. However, if you were a trained medical doctor in the archaic period, you'd be tasting wax from the ears of patients to diagnose their ailments. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And this is where I sound a caution. What you're about to hear next may be nauseating, so, fair warning, brace yourselves. Aside from tasting earwax, medical doctors also tasted the vomit of patients, or licked their phlegms to determine the kind of sickness they suffered. Interestingly, the doctors had been doing this since medical school and were well versed in how each body fluid should taste under normal circumstances. So, depending on the sweetness, sourness, or bitter taste of a body fluid, a doctor can determine whether you have a fever, headache, or stomach upset. Talking of stomach upset, does it mean the doctors also tasted poo to diagnose ailments? Let me check. No definite answer. So I'll leave it to your imagination. But if you have any idea or further information about this bizarre practice, do let me know in the comments section. However, one practice which sounds creepy and ridiculous at the same time is sneezing as a contraceptive. Nope, your ears are not deceiving you. You heard right. Doctors in ancient Greece recommended sneezing as a way of preventing pregnancy. According to the Greek physician Coronis, birth control was solely the responsibility of the woman. The man was free to sow his wild oats on whatever land he pleased, but the sprouting of those oats depended on the woman. So, he taught women the secret to preventing oats from germinating. Squat and sneeze as hard as you can after conducting funny business. But the peculiar process didn't end there. The women had to rinse their privates with water to wash away the sprouting seeds. Now, needless to say, this method never worked, and the women ended up getting as pregnant as they could ever be. When Greek men were not busy frolicking with their wives or concubines, they were engaged in pederasty. Though the term sounds nice, its practice was petrifying. Pederasty was a homosexual relationship between a man and a young boy. Usually the man chose a good-looking, well-fed boy and presented a rooster to him as a sign of his love. The man then acted as the boy's father, teaching him the ways of the world. The relationship usually ended when the boy began to grow facial hair, after which the older man moved on to his next victim. As for the boy, he was now man enough to grab a rooster and start his own pederastic relationship. Now, to be clear, it isn't the homosexual relationship that was problematic, but the age of the boy. Greek societies were known to be more accepting of queer people. Curiously, not all Greek city-states approved of pederasty. Some states like Athens proposed laws to control and limit this kind of relationship, while states like Sparta explicitly accepted and promoted the practice. To support this disgusting relationship, the Greeks created a myth in which their chief god Zeus had a similar bond with the shepherd boy Ganymede. According to the myth, Ganymede was the most beautiful mortal whose radiance attracted Zeus. The chief god then transformed into a huge bird and abducted Ganymede to his home on Mount Olympus, where he served as his cupbearer. There, the young boy and his lover sparked a union that enraged Hera, the jealous wife of Zeus. And who wouldn't be jealous? Meanwhile, if you have kinematophoria, which is a fancy term for the fear of zombies, you're not alone. The Greeks feared zombies too. Recent archaeological discoveries unearthed a slew of evidence indicating that the Greeks told chilling stories of the dead coming back to life to haunt the living. But that isn't the strangest part. The real creepiness was the Greeks' solution to the zombie apocalypse. You see, the forward-thinking Greeks envisaged that the zombies would need to literally rise up from the grave. So, if only they could stop the rising, then they could stop the zombies. Thus, they came up with a clever plan, which involved heaping heavy stones on the dead bodies during the burial ceremony. This way, even if the bodies became reanimated, they had no chance of making it to their feet due to the weight of the stones. And given the zombies' penchant for idiocy, they would remain there for eternity, sparing the living of their horrid sights. Maybe Hollywood should adopt this innovative strategy and implement it in zombie movies. This might spare us the heart-wrenching experience of watching a family picked apart by the undead. And with that, I'd say we've had more than our fair share of filthy secrets for one day. However, if you want to know about the weird history of the ancient Egyptians, check out this video. Thanks ever so much for watching.